Welcome and very good morning to all of you. We are starting the webinar now. My name is Chandra Joshi, representing Path Infotech, and would be moderating this webinar. First and foremost, I would like to offer my heartiest thanks to all of you for sparing your precious time to attend this webinar. Now, in the first webinar of this series, we represented 3 use cases for migrating to cloud, namely production workloads to cloud, test and dev on cloud, and DR on cloud. We already shared the link to the recording of the webinar on the invitation mail for registration. I'll also share the same to you post this webinar. In the second webinar, we are presenting the major use case of disaster recovery on cloud, where we will share insight on factors driving need of DR on cloud along with a customer case study. We will further share how to make decision to choose right cloud for DR. We will also have a discussion with group CIO of our prestigious client and understand how they decided and implemented DR on cloud. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, we are on that. Now to maintain silence in room, all attendee lines have been muted. This webinar is being recorded for future viewing, and we will share details how to view recording later in an email. We'll be glad to answer your questions or hear comments during the webinar, and you are welcome to post them using the question box. So in the right side navigation pane, you can see a question box, and you can write your questions there. We will answer as many questions as we can, and any unanswered question would be followed up post-webinar one-on-one. Next slide, please. Great. Now coming on to the agenda, we will start with the requirement, drivers, and design and architecture. Further, we'll discuss about we will have a conversation with our prestigious customer about their journey to select the best cloud option for DR strategy. We will also explore DR on cloud with a case study. We will compare the value proposition in different cloud options. Then, Thomas Kopak from Oracle, he'll speak about Oracle DR offerings. Further, we will discuss about 4 steps to cloud, and then I'll tell you about the promotional offer we have to enable you to quick start your cloud journey. Moving on to question and answer sessions, and then we will have a raffle draw. So we have some gift coupons that we will distribute through a raffle draw. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you about the speakers as well. We have Mr. Vishal Agrawal, who is our Vice President of Infrastructure and Support. And we are delighted to have Mr. Puneet Rastogi, the Group CIO with TCI. Hi, Puneet. Welcome.
Thanks, Chandra.
Great. Then, we have Tom here, Thomas Kopak, who is handling the Cloud Alliance with Oracle. Hi, Tom. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for this session, guys. This is great.
Great. And along with that, we have our Director of Business Development at Path Infotech, Mr. Pankaj Ratra. Hi, Pankaj.
Hi, Chandra. Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
Great to have all of you here. So moving on, next slide, please. Yeah, great. So from here, I would request Vishal to lead the journey from here. Vishal, over to you.
Thank you, Chandra. Good morning, everybody. My name is Vishal Aggarwal. I'm the practice head for Cloud and Infrastructure Management Services at Path. I've been working on Oracle technologies for more than 20 years and on various cloud infrastructures for last 5 years. As Chandra shared, this is the second webinar in our series of webinars. In the first webinar, we had discussed about the 3 use cases for cloud adoption. As discussed last time, today we will take a deep dive on one of the use cases, which is DR on cloud. Now, one of the basic requirements for any business is a robust disaster recovery setup. But setting up a DR requires high capex investment. You need to create a replica of the production in terms of hardware, in terms of software, and these things. This replica will only be used when the disaster strikes. Now, when you are designing a DR solution, what are some of the questions that you need to ask yourselves when designing this solution? Or what are the considerations for a DR solution? First and foremost is how much data loss can my organization bear in case of a disaster? That is defining the recovery point objective or the RPO for the solution. Then, what is the maximum time my organization can survive without the IT application systems available? Again, this is defining the recovery time objective or the RTO for the solution. Then, how big is the DR setup that I need? Will I need a fully sized system to take 100% of my production load? Or will I be running only business critical processes during the disaster? This is going to define what would be the sizing of the DR systems. Now, once you are setting it up, it is not just a one-time setup. You need to manage and maintain it. So how complex or easy is it to manage and maintain the solution that you are implementing? And finally, how much will it cost? And the cost needs to be divided into two portions. First is the one-time implementation cost, and then the ongoing operational costs. Once you have answered these questions, you need to look at whether the solution which is being proposed fulfill all the requirements that you have. That will define a DR solution which fulfills the requirements of your organization. Now, during this entire webinar, we will be talking about DR on cloud, taking TCI Limited as the case study. TCI Limited has recently implemented their DR on Oracle Cloud. TCI is a leading transportation and logistic provider in India, and we are privileged to have Mr. Puneet Rastogi, who is the Group CIO of TCI Limited with us, who will share his experience on setting up the DR on cloud. I will now invite Pankaj, who is Director Path Infotech, to discuss with Puneet the modalities and considerations that they had when they were deciding and implementing DR on cloud. So Pankaj, I would like to invite you now to in conversation with Puneet to discuss about the solutioning.
Sure. Thanks, Vishal. Great to have you, Puneet. And like Vishal mentioned, Puneet Rastogi is the Group CIO for Transport Corporation of India, a professional with about 20 plus of years of experience in information technology solutions, and he's been on both sides of the table, which means he's been on the service providing side and has been a customer as well himself, implementing solutions, complex IT solutions across various organizations, including GE and Genpact and Polaris, and now with Transport Corporation. He's currently leading a digital transformation initiative at Transport Corporation. And on behalf of the entire team of Path and Oracle, I would like to welcome Puneet Rastogi and thank him for taking the time out to be part of this webinar. Welcome to you, Puneet.
Thanks, Pankaj, for having me here. Thank you.
So while the focus of the webinar today is DR on cloud, and while Vishal mentioned that Transport Corporation took the initiative of implementing DR on cloud. I'm sure audience here today will be keen to know, Puneet, from you, you know, to share with us about, to maybe start with and share with us about TCI as a company or business, and just to lay of the land in terms of the landscape that that you as a group CIO cater to from a that supports the TCI business.
Okay, basically, Transport Corporation of India is into logistics and transportation, and we have around 600 branches all over India. We are into serving many customers like e-commerce company like Amazon. We are working with auto industries like Toyota, Hyundai Motors, Tata Motors. We also work for in FMCG area for Hindustan Lever Limited, Patanjali, etc. So we have a very complex business model. We are there for the last 60 years. So this company is providing logistics services to most of the major customers in India. IT is the backbone of the organization. All the processes has been automated. Every day we are into the business process engineering and putting a lot of information technology driven processes into operations.
Great, Puneet. I mean, I think for an organization to have about 600 branches across the country and catering to some of the best of the breed customers like Amazon and Toyota and Hyundai Motors and Levers, I'm sure the expectations not just from internal or your function leads, but I'm sure your customers have very high expectations in terms of the quality of service that they expect from your company, and thus IT being the backbone of most of it. I'm sure they have very high expectations from you and your team. I'm sure you guys are always under tremendous pressure in that sense. But I'm sure you guys are doing a great job as the organization has been, growing at a very rapid pace in so many years now. So Puneet, as we just heard from Vishal, and he did talk about that you recently created a DR setup of your core business applications. Do you want to take a moment to share some details about the same with all of us here today?
Yeah, sure. Actually, we were looking for this DR solution for a while now. We already have a data center available with another partner as a co-location facility, and we were struggling to provide the non-stop 24/7 support to the business, and facing certain issues when there was a high load on the servers, and we were just fearing that someday this data center will not respond to us. So if some disaster will happen, then what will happen to my production environment? So we were looking for this DR solution in a different seismic zone, and we have evaluated many solutions, namely from Microsoft Azure, from Amazon, from many other partners also, but we have shortlisted Oracle DR.
Puneet, I mean, I'm sure you did the due diligence that you did in terms of, and we thank you for your business in terms of making the choice of Oracle Cloud. But come to think of it, I think the considerations that you had to choose cloud for DR. I mean, and more specifically, do you want to give us a perspective of what were the considerations about eventually choosing Oracle Cloud? Do you want to kind of share your perspective on first of all why cloud for DR, and maybe two parts to this question. I mean, and the second one is what went around in that sense to choose Oracle Cloud? Do you think you want to share a perspective on that too?
Sure. So we already have a DC hosted in India and nearby to our place, our office. Cloud is a new. I mean, not, cloud is very big acceptance now in India, and we wanted to go on to OPEX model rather than going on CAPEX. So that's why cloud was the first option. We always thinking to go on cloud. And why we have chosen Oracle? Because we are running our application on Oracle database. And for Oracle Database Enterprise Edition, Oracle Cloud is the most suitable because on the OPEX model on Oracle DBCS basically provides us the scalability, the flexibility of managing the resources. We can always go and increase the resources or decrease the resources. That's why we have chosen Oracle DR. And none of our partner could give us a better solution. So we have opted for Oracle DR.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that you found value specifically in going with Oracle from a DR perspective, as your application was, like you said, is built on Oracle platform and you use Oracle database. But tell me something. I mean, is the entire application end-to-end on Oracle, or you have components other than Oracle also? From a middle tier, from a front end perspective, is it?
Yeah, so we had a couple of other databases, MySQL, MS SQL. So we have, when we went to DR, this is the one thing which we have done. We have moved all our application on a single database, which is Oracle database. We have a homegrown ERP on .NET. So it was easy for us to do that migration.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is you basically have the front end of the application on .NET, which potentially runs on a Windows environment, and you have the database running on on the database is Oracle.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. So I'm sure this all has gone through now, and you've kind of implemented, and you're already seeing some benefits of having deployed DR on cloud. Do you want to share some of those in context of the benefits that you see for DR on cloud and with Oracle?
Sure. So before going to DR, we were aware that what kind of challenges we are facing in our production servers, which are located in the data center. So when we engaged Path Infotech, we have told them clearly that these are the challenges we have, and we wanted a help to basically streamline my application as well as the database at the data center side. So with their help, their functional team, technical team, DBS, all together, we work together and we streamline the database and we have fine-tuned the application. And this gives us the tremendous benefit of better performance at production servers. And subsequently, we could reduce the resources at DR. So eventually, we have spent very less money on DR by fine-tuning the things at data center side.
Wow, that's great news. I mean, you got double benefits in terms of saying that you managed to optimize the resource requirement that you had, and it became an opportunity for you to go and do some optimization of the core business application, as well as manage to get a good deployment on Oracle Cloud. So great. I mean, thank you very much, Puneet, for sharing this perspective from your side. I'm sure while some of the audience listen to you, they will have some queries, and I request you, if your time permits and you can stay on till the Q&A. I'm sure it'll be a great opportunity for people to sort of pose their questions to you, and I will pass it back to you, Vishal, for giving us a more detailed insight into exactly how TCI went about and what the exact solution is. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thanks, Puneet, for your insight on TCI's take on the DR solution that has been implemented. Now, we'll start with I'll take you through the TCI journey to cloud. I'll talk more details about how this solution was created and what was the final solution that took place. So, like I said, when we were designing the DR solution for TCI, we actually asked the same questions as I was discussing earlier, and we looked at the answers. So the overall solution or the overall requirement came out to be that we needed DR, like Puneet said, at another provider and location from the current DC, a expected RTU and RPO of 15 minutes. The DR needs to be provisioned for 50% of the production load with seamless access, easy manageability, and preferably with zero or minimal capex investment. Some other factors were how the application code will be replicated. Like Puneet said, that it is a .NET application, so that code needs to be replicated. How the user authentication. Now, in this case, the user authentication was outside the Oracle database. So how that will happen when in case of a DR, and will the network latency, because the Oracle data center was outside India, cause any application performance issues. So we worked with TCI to design a solution to fulfill all these requirements. In the solution, we implemented database DR using Oracle DBCS or the Oracle Database Cloud, and application servers were set up using IaaS. Now, DBCS being a subscription-based service, so it allows TCI to convert their capex to opex. We further optimize the cost by sizing the DBCS servers with 50% compute capacity, which can be anytime increased to 100% using cloud bursting. Application code was synchronized or replicated using CopySync, which is a robocopy provided by Microsoft itself, which we use to write scripts and copy it. Further, like Puneet said, we worked with the TCI on their on-premises or the production setup. So we worked with TCI team to bring the user authentication code back into the Oracle database, which resulted into two benefits for TCI. First was in the production setup, they have one less environment to manage. And second, the user authentication issue at the DR site was resolved. So what it resulted in was a solution which is cost effective, scalable, and secure. Oracle Cloud, as Puneet said, should be the cloud of choice for setting up DR, especially if you are a customer or a user of Oracle database. You can potentially set up DR systems with zero capex using Oracle database cloud services. We have talked a lot about benefits of DR on cloud. In the first webinar of this series, I had talked about the economic value proposition of setting up DR on cloud versus on-premises setup. As a recap, this is what we had discussed. We had talked about a case where we wanted to set up a DR for an Oracle database running on a 8-core 64 GB RAM system with a DB size of about 4 TB, and the DR capacity required was 100%. So this is what we talked about. What would be the sizing on Oracle Cloud or on premises? I'm not going into more details. I'm just recapping this. There's a huge capex expense which is required on premises, which is zero for Oracle Cloud. Then there is a OPEX or a recurring expense that you need to make on Oracle Cloud as well as on premises. This is what the total cost of ownership comes for the first year and for 4 years. This does not include other overheads in case of on-premises, like data center costs of power, cooling, IT staff for managing these servers and machines. All these things are still not monetized here. And this is what the savings looked like when we looked at the on-premises versus Oracle Cloud. This was just a recap. Now, we had promised in the last webinar that in this webinar, we will talk about a comparison between the various cloud services, or using various cloud services at with Oracle Cloud for setting up the DR. So taking TCI as the case, let's relook at the requirement once again. So TCI has a production environment which is using Oracle Enterprise Edition. There were two databases, each running on a 20-core 1 TB RAM system. There were multiple application servers. When we were reviewing the production setup, it was decided to consolidate all these application servers into 3 application servers. The requirement was, as we discussed earlier, was to set up a DR with 50% capacity. When we did the sizing, it was decided to size the database system as a 8-core 128 GB RAM each, and application servers as 4-core 32 GB RAM each. So let's start looking at this case. Excuse me. So let's first talk about some basic factors which are other than the direct cost between the 3 cloud options available to TCI. Now, Azure and AWS has data centers in India, whereas Oracle does not have a data center in India. On both Azure and AWS, TCI will need to buy Oracle database licenses, which is a CapEx expense, whereas on Oracle Cloud, by using DBCS, they did not have to spend any CapEx. The other consideration was sizing of the system and availability of elastic cloud or cloud busting to scale the system as and when needed. Now, although elastic cloud is available in all the 3 cases, but in case of Azure and AWS, TCI will still need to buy licenses for full capacity that they will be using only at the time of DR. The savings are only for the compute, which is not very high. Whereas in case of Oracle, as we are using DBCS, the savings are substantial. Let's take a look at the sizing for all the 3 clouds. Now, while sizing, we need to consider that Oracle Cloud provides a OCPU which is equal to 1 physical core, whereas both Azure and AWS provides vCPUs which is equal to 1 thread or half physical core. Further, because we can use cloud busting on Oracle Cloud, we can actually size the DB server further down. So the final sizing which came out was, for Azure and AWS, the DB servers needed to be 16 vCPU each, and for Oracle, it can be only 4 OCPU. For application server, the sizing is 8 vCPUs each for Azure and AWS, and 4 OCPU for Oracle Cloud. OS licenses are included in all these cloud environments. Database licenses, for MS Azure, you need to buy 1 license per vCPU. That is the licensing policy. And for AWS, you need to buy 1 license per 2 vCPUs. So, and in case of Oracle Cloud, we are using DBCS, so the license is included in the cloud subscription. Now let's move on to the commercials. Take a look at how the commercial looks like. Please note that all the prices are as they were offered to TCI. So first is the database cost for Azure and AWS. For Oracle, it is 0. Excuse me. When you buy Oracle licenses, you need to pay Oracle Premium support annually. So that cost comes in for MS Azure and AWS as an annual recurring cost. Moving on to the cloud compute cost. For Azure and AWS, it's a pure IaaS cost which is there. For Oracle, it is IaaS for application servers and DBCS for database servers. All that cost is included into this. To make the comparison complete, we have also included cost of cloud bursting, which will be used at the time of DR. This cloud bursting cost has been included for 1 month, which by the way is a very high utilization for a DR setup. So that cost has also been included. So if you look at, this is what the total cost is for 1 year and for 4 years. Let's take a final look at what the comparative costs look like. In the first year, Azure versus Oracle, Azure and AWS. Over 4 years, Azure and AWS versus Oracle Cloud. Now, let me invite our friend from Oracle, Thomas Kopek, to talk about Oracle offerings on DR on cloud. Thomas, please.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Can you go to the next slide, please? First of all, on behalf of Oracle, on behalf of our partner, Path Infotech, thank you for taking the time to join us today. And really, our Puneet at TCI, thank you for being an Oracle customer. It's greatly appreciated. As you heard from the team at Path, it's very important to one, get a cloud product that fits your particular needs. So we're going to talk about that in a few moments. But secondly, as the team at Path can provide it for you and what they did for TCI is it's very key to have a partner to help guide you through the process. So Oracle's going to sell you a cloud service, or Path will sell you the cloud service, but they're going to take it a step further. They're going to guide you through the process. And as you heard in the discussion just a moment ago, they really provide that level of expertise, that knowledge of the cloud industry, what's specific for Oracle, what's specific for the other players. So it's very key that you work with a partner, Path in this particular case, to get you from point A to point B. Next slide, please. So if you haven't heard, Oracle does have a number of offerings in the cloud space. Next slide, please. So first of all, you see our red stack of cloud offerings. Where we're going to focus today's discussion for the next few minutes is around our platform space, which is really the broadest solution of platform offerings in the marketplace today. Database as a service, which we spoke of a few moments ago, database backup as a service, security, Java, other components, which are part of our platform as a service. Next slide, please. The second half of this is our infrastructure as a service. Now, the infrastructure as a service is very simply the highest performance, lowest cost infrastructure in the business today. And point to the last line here, this enables customers to run their application workloads in Oracle Cloud. Obviously, we want Oracle workloads in Oracle Cloud, but we're not restricted to just Oracle. And as mentioned in the case study we just talked about a few months ago, there are other components that make up that case study running inside Oracle Cloud. Next slide, please. So let's start with the simplest and the easiest starting point would be around a disaster recovery, backing up the environment. And what I mean by this is, let's take an Oracle database. Oracle database, and a lot of you are familiar with, probably about 50% of you are utilizing that Oracle database. Well, every database should be being backed up. Well, as a customer, you guys know out there, you're probably struggling with storing all the backup information. One of the tools that's available, and this is a entry-level DR environment, is the database backup service. And very simply, a couple points here on the right-hand side. This is operational expense. It's not a capital expenditure. End-to-end security. Next slide, please. Gives you the ability to start that migration to the cloud, which is a big step. A couple points with this I want to bring up here and how this database backup as a service works. Point number 3, this is RMAN. So those of you who are Oracle database administrators are comfortable utilizing the RMAN facility that's included with every database to manage the backups and restoration of your database. Point number 3 is encryption is required, bottom line. And very simply, you as our customer will define your own encryption key, and prior to moving any data to Oracle Cloud, you will have to encrypt that information. And the whole value of this is your information is only accessible by you and is totally locked up. And the key thing is Oracle does not have access to any of that information. Obviously, there are some points to optimize the data transfer, such as compression, turn on additional parallelism, and that type of activity. Next slide, please. Now, and when we look at utilizing the database backup, again, it's a database backup. All it's moving is that backup, utilizing RMAN to the Oracle Cloud. There are other ways to utilize the backup in conjunction with the Oracle Database Cloud services that you might want to take advantage of, whether you're upper left-hand corner, migrating that Oracle database to Oracle Cloud, or creating, in this particular example, a DR instance in the Oracle Cloud with periodic updates from the backups itself. So this is the example we're talking about today as part of this discussion. I want to have a secondary database inside Oracle Cloud in the event of failure at my location. Secondly, you can also create test and development environments. And lastly, in the lower right-hand corner, creating a DataGuard standby instance inside Oracle Cloud. Point with that is, the database inside Oracle Cloud is the exact same database that you might be running on-premise. So all the facilities that are available to you on-premise, such as DataGuard or RMAN or SNAPS or import, export, all that functionality is also available to you in the cloud. So you as a customer can go back and forth as need be. Next slide, please. So let's take this a little bit further. When we talk about disaster recovery, yes, the database is one component of that. But in many cases, as we saw with the TCI example, disaster recovery is the business application, other applications, Microsoft.net I heard earlier. So there's lots of requirements around there. So this is where the conversation will have to occur with the folks from PATH to understand what your disaster recovery environments might be. Do I need just to have a secondary copy of the database, or do I need to have a backup copy of the database, or do I need to have a full stand-up copy of my entire application and all the required components? To do that particular piece, obviously, we look at our platform as a service offering and also our infrastructure as a service offerings, in particular compute or dedicated compute for the application. Next slide, please. So when we talk about components that make up the dedicated environment, one of the key areas is storage. And obviously, inside Oracle Cloud, there's a number of storage offerings that we have across the top, a standard storage cloud service for storage being used. We have a long-term archive storage cloud for storing of long-term information. What's nice with this is it's $1 per terabyte per month, ridiculously inexpensive. Obviously, we touched on the database backup. There's also a storage cloud appliance that's available. In addition to that, there is also bulk data transfer purposes for a one-time option. So maybe you just want to take your database and have a secondary database out there in the cloud. Well, you can do it via the internet if you choose, or a dedicated networking environment. But if it's large enough, maybe I want to do a bulk data transfer. So that's a service available from Oracle. Next slide. In addition to that, in addition to the storage components, there's also the infrastructure components, as I call it. And that's not correct. The compute components. So working in conjunction, there are compute components such as a bare metal, which bare metal being nothing more than a server and a storage that we make available to you that you as a customer can use as you choose. General purpose compute, dedicated compute, and also engineered systems inside Oracle Cloud. What I mean by engineered systems inside Oracle Cloud, you may be familiar with the Oracle Exadata environment. Exadata is an excellent on-premise solution. Well, that same capability is available in a public cloud environment or cloud at customer, which we'll talk about in a moment. So my point being with this discussion, if your requirement is to have all your data, all the applications, all the other components that make up your environment, there are facilities available inside Oracle Cloud to fit your particular needs. We touched on the database backup. We touched on the various storage components that are available to you, and now the various compute components that are available to you based on your requirement. And again, this is where you sit down with the group from PATH and understand what your disaster recovery requirements are, and then build a solution. Again, what we feel from Oracle, we can provide you the broadest solution around disaster recovery. Next slide, please. Now, I touched on the value of Oracle Cloud and the way you can run Oracle Cloud. There we go. You can run on-premise. You can run your technology on-premise, the Oracle database or Oracle business applications or somebody else's applications. You can also run everything you need inside Oracle Public Cloud, inside Oracle's data center. We talked about the example earlier. We have data centers in various locations around the world that can be leveraged. But maybe you can't utilize a public cloud environment, a data center in the US, for example. We also provide what we refer to as Cloud at Customer. And Cloud at Customer is very simply, in the simplest form, we're going to supply you a cloud machine, maybe an Exadata machine. It's sold as a cloud service, so it's an operational expense versus a capital expenditure. The difference being is Oracle will maintain that Cloud at Customer environment. We ask the customer to provide power, cooling, floor space. We bring in the box. We set it all up, working in conjunction with your partner, and then the partner will work with you to put the appropriate technology on top of that. So in addition to lots of choices of various cloud services from Oracle, we also offer choice as far as where you want to run the environment. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take you through a couple examples of disaster recovery environments you may want to consider. And again, work with the team from PATH very closely to do this. So this particular example is extending the full stack disaster recovery to cloud utilizing remote backup. So you're backing up the database tier, you're backing up the application and middle tier. In the event of an on-premise outage, you're going to restore that database to either the database cloud service or the Exadata cloud service, whatever you choose. In addition, you're going to restore the application tier and middle tier to the compute environment. You know, it's a solution that we're taking advantage of in this particular example. Exadata cloud service, database cloud service, database backup cloud service, the storage cloud service we mentioned earlier, and also the compute cloud and network cloud capability. As was mentioned in the TCS discussion earlier, you will find in the marketplace, when comparing the technologies, Oracle is going to come in dramatically cheaper than the other players in the marketplace. Next slide, please. Tell my network's a bit slow here. In our second solution, this is a full stack DR to cloud replication for the Oracle stack. So again, on-premise, there's an application and a middle tier, and we're going to copy the data files in the database. The database tier replicating the database, in this case, utilizing the Active Data Guard component that's part of the Oracle database. In the cloud, the database tier will be the first or primary failover environment for that database on-premise. And then secondly, the application middle tier will copy all those files into the compute environment. Similar type model, but a little bit, again, in this case, we're utilizing the Active Data Guard to ensure that database in the cloud is always a current environment. Slight modification there. The solutions that we're utilizing, very similar. Exadata Cloud Service, Database Cloud Service, Active Data Guard in this particular case, and the compute cloud and networking cloud. Next slide, please. Now, while we're shifting on that next slide, I want you to keep in mind, when you purchase Oracle Cloud Services through our partner, they are sold as universal credits. So you can buy a collection of credits and utilize those as need be. Finally, our third solution here is a full stack DR for any database or application. So as most of you are out there, you have a mix. You might have a Oracle database environment. You might have a Microsoft database environment. You might have an Oracle application. You might have somebody else's application. So production is on-premise. Standby DR is obviously Oracle Cloud with the database itself, utilizing continuous replication to keep the data in sync. And again, that's the Active Data Guard, or another technology, Golden Gate. So if you have that Microsoft SQL Server database, for example, and I put my backup copy inside Oracle Cloud, I can utilize Data Guard to replicate the information from that SQL Server database to the SQL Server database inside Oracle Cloud. Same thing is true with the application replication. We heard earlier with the TCI example, utilizing the Microsoft provided replication tools to replicate the .NET technology over to Oracle Cloud. Again, solutions are very similar here. Point being is you're taking advantage of database components itself, you're taking advantage of storage components, and you're taking advantage of compute components, all part of our infrastructure as a service. So let me close down my particular section here. Keep in mind, with Oracle, there are lots of options out there. Because there are lots of options, I strongly advise you to work with the team from Path to help set up what's going to fit your particular requirement. It may be just backing up the database, or it may be having a full duplicate environment of my entire application and all components inside Oracle Cloud. But utilize the team. That's very, very key. With that, I'm going to thank you guys for taking the time to join us. I'm going to pass it back to the team from Path.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for your insight on the entire Oracle stack for the database DR. And I'll request you to stay with us for the Q&A. Now,
Yes,
in the last webinar, okay, I think there is one summary slide. Okay. In the last webinar, we had talked about the 4-step journey to the cloud. We had discussed the first step in detail. Now let's look at all the 4 steps which are required for a successful journey to the cloud. Like we discussed last time, first is the assessment, where you do a gap and a roadmap, do a gap analysis and create a roadmap for your movement to cloud. Based on the assessment comes the design phase, where the output of that would be an architectural blueprint, where you talk about the technical feasibility, the application and cloud designing, how the architecture of implementation is going to look like. All this comes in the design phase. And then obviously once the design is done, then you do a move and improve, which is the actual moving of your enterprise workloads onto the cloud. And once they are moved, you need to manage or maintain them, the lights on support. These are the 4 steps that you need to take to make any cloud journey successful. As I discussed last time, the first 2 steps are the most important ones. If you spend enough time on the first 2 steps, which is the assessment and the design services, if you spend enough time and do them properly, the actual migration and maintenance becomes much more easier. In the end, I would like to add that this was the second webinar in this series of webinars that we are conducting. In the next webinar, we will be taking a deep dive on how to move enterprise workloads to cloud, which can include test and dev environments or production environments. Now, Chandra discussed about an offer that we have, a promotional offer that we have. Chandra, over to you to talk about that.
Great, Vishal. Thanks for the presentation. It was great. So moving on, I would like to tell you about the offer Path have. So Path Infotech, along with Oracle, is excited to offer our guests on webinar and some selected customers by invitation to quick start their journey to cloud. So there is a $300 credit provided by Oracle for free cloud setup. Now, along with that, Path offers a $1,000 credit for workshops for guidance, configurations, and setup of Oracle Cloud. So we will kind of provide a hand holding to you to help you to migrate to cloud. So anyone who is interested to pursue this workshop for your organization, you can email me. My email is chandra.shekhar at pathinfotech.com. I'll separately share the same with you. Next slide, please. So moving on to question and answers. So I would request all attendees, if you have any question to Vishal or Tom or Puneet, you can just write up your question. On the right side panel, you can see, a question box. So you can write the question and we will answer your queries accordingly. So one question I believe that goes directly to Puneet. The question is, the way you achieved evaluation and selection of Oracle as cloud service provider for DR, it becomes sometimes challenge to select right consulting and implementation partner. So would you like to, we would like to understand your criteria, evaluation criteria for the consulting service partner. So Puneet, over to you. And let me unmute yourself. Yeah, that's it. So Puneet, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chandra. So I have evaluated, I have met a lot of partners, their representatives, their senior management. So my criteria was that knowledge of the core infrastructure should be there, business critical application, and the purpose for DR, that is Oracle extensions exposed to business application and understanding of business need of DR. This was the first and primary thing which I wanted from my partners. Second was the capability on multiple cloud platforms and services they might have worked on. Architecting capability should be there, proactive, nimble, and cohesive support, and most of all of them, they should be ready to help us at any point of time whenever we need. So this was the main thing which I was looking in a partner.
Okay, great. So again, another question to you. I think it's on, what all on-ground challenges did you face during the course, implementing DR on cloud? So as well as situations wherein, you required extended support from Oracle on your consulting partner.
Yeah, so there was a situation, the first one or two meetings when we had with the IT team of TCI and Oracle Path Infotech. So we thought that this Oracle DR will not happen, but then the consulting partners have come up with a lot of brainstorming sessions on the same day, and then they have said that the DR is possible. We have to take these kind of countermeasures. These are the steps you have to take, and they out of the way they have gone and sort of a lot of issues with the existing data center production environment. So actually that has encouraged us to go and implement the DR with these partners along with the Oracle consulting services.
Okay, great, Puneet, and Puneet, thanks for that. Further, if anyone has any questions to Tom or Vishal or Puneet, you can write to me. I'll accordingly share your questions to them and provide the answers. I would like to thank you for your precious time for attending, and hope this was a useful session for you and helps you to initiate your DR journey to cloud. We will be delighted to get a feedback from you, on this webinar, and also, any further suggestions if you can give. If you have any questions to Vishal and Tom, you can just email me. My email address is chandra.shekhar at pathinfotech.com. We will share the recording of this webinar to all of you very soon. Once again, thanks. Thank you for joining, and thank you to Vishal, Tom, and Puneet and Pankaj. So with that, we end this webinar. Thank you and have a nice day.